Good morning. Today I want to read the final 4 chapters of the Spake Christopher, my treatise on non-duality and other bits of wisdom I've learned throughout my lifetime, and it is loosely modeled after Nietzsche's The Spake Zarathustra, hence the title. Okay, let me begin by sharing my screen. And as usual, I need to take a moment to hide some panels that only I can see. I need to get them out of the way so that I can see what's going on. And let's see. Here we go. You can find everything I've done at www.docbenton.com. And you scroll down to the best of Doc Benton, and here's where you find the Spake Christopher, uh, my little treatise on non-duality. You can read it online or download it to read it later. It's not all that long, about 72 pages. And now let me go ahead and begin reading chapter 69. So, chapter 69, the man then asked, "How do you experience the multiverse?" I began to answer, "All that we see is but a part of the whole, for the whole can never be fully apprehended, even though it is the whole that gives life to each part. Hence, my perception of the multiverse may be different from that of others, if I see different parts, and my personal experience might be at odds with current science. Nonetheless, here's a brief description of how I observe things. First, all of space-time exists at once, all universes and all possibilities. From a higher perspective, there is no past or future, only the eternal present. And what we call the experience of time is only our shift in focus from one present moment to another. Also, once we have observed something, that information is forever part of our experience. There is no traveling to the past to change things, and there is no future that can be disrupted by past changes, for all possibilities always exist at once. We cannot change the experience of a glass that we broke and what we think of as the past, but we can heal that experience by creating a new glass in what our brains understand as the future. But again, there is no actual past or future, and in reality, you're just shifting attention to a perception where the glass exists again. You're also connected to different versions of yourself, where, again, from your perspective, you have at times made different decisions and walked different paths. And by imagining different decisions in your perceived past, you can explore their outcomes and ramifications, and you can be enriched and enlarged by this practice. Okay, I have to find where I just left off again. Here I am. Okay. Through focus of attention, you can travel anywhere throughout the multiverse, including your own so-called possible futures, and even beyond your so-called death. Both information and awareness are eternal, and you can continue your discussions with those who have passed on. I also perceive that there are higher levels at which certain groups of people are intimately connected and may even be parts of an even greater consciousness. And that way, their existence and speech on Earth is analogous to different thoughts that may appear in one's brain as one carries on an internal discussion with oneself. Some would characterize this as a soul group that incarnates together. And so we who belong to a group of close friends are not as separate as we think. We too are like the different thoughts that an even higher order of life is having as it carries on its own internal discussion. Okay, At a level far beyond the earth experience, I perceive a nexus from which all worlds and universes branch out. I conveniently call this the universal mall, or if you prefer, the switchboard. Few will want to or need to go that far, however, because we have chosen the earth experience for a reason, and the switchboard can lead to many worlds that will neither be necessary nor desirable at this point in our existence. There is a time and a place for everything, and the switchboard or universal mall is not a place one needs to go to before one is ready. Much of the multiverse is pure chaos, but the goal of the earth experience is to bring forth order out of chaos and to acquire love, knowledge, and wisdom as a result. Hence, few will have any need to linger in chaos. However, whether you travel near or far from your current perception of reality, there is one thing that is constant in all the universes, and that is awareness. Thus, use your awareness to gradually expand your vision of reality, and through a series of small steps, you will eventually travel far. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 70. The man asked, "What is your everyday experience?" I began to answer. My everyday experience changes every day, despite most days being pretty much the same. Most days are good, but every now and then I may be ill or in pain or feel some negative emotion or anxiety. However, regardless of whether things feel good or bad, I always turn my attention back upon itself, back to that undefinable awareness that is always at the center of all things. And that way, I always experience unity within diversity. Today, both while sitting and lying down, I felt a light going up my spine and beyond the top of my head, and much higher still while traveling through consciousness instead of space. It arrived at some higher, more advanced version of myself, and spread out like wings or like roots of a tree, connecting me to everything everywhere all at once. The light was delicious and sublime, and brought wisdom back down into my body. Some might call this light that rises Kundalini, and they might call the other light that descends into the body a thread of grace. But today it amused me, but today, because it amused me, I called them both Excalibur. Thus spake Christopher. Chapter 71. The man asked, "What are your final words for me?" I began to answer. There is an eternity, a timelessness in our hearts that creates everything that we see. It itself is unknowable and undefinable. But exactly because it is unknowable and undefinable, we can only grasp it at most as both a void and a whole that contains all parts with no distinctions between them. And precisely because it is such an inseparable unity, we can't even get close to it without feeling something of that wholeness. And what is unity if not love? And what is love if not joy and happiness? Hence, don't even try to look for eternal happiness in this world of objects, because if you do, you will fail. Nothing lasts forever. Everything in the world of separation is changing, and it always will. Failure follows success, and success follows failure. There is no escaping this. So don't look for unending happiness in the world of objects. Instead, look for happiness in the eternity within. And when you find it, you will realize that by leaving the world, you have become the world. Thus spake Christopher. In the final chapter, chapter 72. And when the unknown man, Naquio, had finished asking Christopher all his questions, he finally understood, and to express that understanding, he wrote the following poem. Where is God? I looked for God in the rituals of my house of worship, but God was not there. I went to the leaders of my house of worship, but sometimes they did not want to leave their comfort zone. And when they didn't, God was not there. I then went to the great academic scholars of my religion, but they only want to discuss what their fellow scholars agree that they should discuss, and God was not there. Finally, I turned my attention to my own awareness, a flame that consumes without consuming. And deep within the fire of that awareness, a still small voice, and God was there. Thus spake Christopher. Okay, that is the ending of Thus Spake Christopher, my treatise on non-duality and other bits of wisdom I've accumulated. So again, thank you for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this journey. And as you go forth in life, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be a light unto the nations. And so I bid you a fond farewell. And once again, I'll say so long and be well.